Who are the Gophers that need to show up big versus Maryland? Plus, a little bit of Gophers hoops today.
You are Locked On Golden Gophers, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, Gopher fans? You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday, when we are healthy. Yesterday, I was unable to do a show because my voice was completely gone. As you can hear, we're getting it back a little bit. We're still kind of choking down a little bit, but we're going to get through this podcast one way or another. So please don't mind that. Forgive me on that one, but we will be back to a 100% in the near future, hopefully. All right, so today we're going to talk about players who need to step up big versus Maryland for the Golden Gophers this weekend. We're then going to talk about the Gophers' second half of their schedule and what it looks like, games needed, toss-ups, long shots, and more. And then we're going to talk a little bit of Gophers men's hoops, what we saw from the exhibition, and what we can maybe take away from that moving into the regular season. So be sure to hit subscribe over on YouTube. Be sure to follow wherever you get your podcasts and leave a 5-star review so others can find the show. All right, so let's dive in. Let's talk about the players who need to step up big versus Maryland. Now, if you missed our last show, we talked about the make or breaks in this matchup. We talked about changing the picture on the quarterbacks to really test him and create chaos, but also to get heavy pressure on the quarterback because passing is their strength, but you have to make it uncomfortable for them. We also talked about how turnovers will be a game changer, and also whoever has the most explosive special teams probably leads in this one. So you know that means that I'm going to have to put someone from the defensive line in here as a player we need to step up. Now, Ja Joyner has been stepping up into his own, so hopefully that continues. Devin Eastern just came off a massive game last time we played versus UCLA. And Danny Strigow is third on the team in tackles. So overall, Anthony Smith has been playing out of position, but he's still playing meaningful football. And for me, Anthony Smith is my pick for who we need to step up this week, not because he hasn't been doing well, but rather because there's two reasons. If he is able to move back to his rightful position as a defensive end, I hope the game comes faster for him, like he moves at a faster speed. He moves with more fury and hopefully disrupts that Maryland pass game. But even if he stays inside, with the extra time that he's had with the bye week, the extra reps, the extra prep, I expect his talent to really shine through. So Anthony Smith is the first player that I think the Gophers need to step up versus Maryland. Now, our second player is because Maryland's strength is on stopping the run defense, or stopping the run on defense. Daniel Jackson, Darius Taylor, they're going to get theirs in some capacity. Will it be huge games? Maybe not, but they're going to find a way to be relevant and a way to contribute in each and every game. But the X factor and difference maker could be Elijah Spencer. He is great at finding the holes in zones. He's developing a great chemistry with Max Brosmer. And on top of that, he fights for the extra yards. He fights for the first down markers. He's a player who does the unneeded or unrequired work, and that is helping him exceed, once again, this year with the Gophers like he did in Charlotte. Now, he also gets the benefit of the extra attention on Daniel Jackson and Darius Taylor. So if he can take advantage of that extra attention on them, he should have the opportunities to have a big day in the pass game, knowing that Maryland's pass defense is their weaker spot. Finally, the third player that we need to step up, in my opinion, is Maverick Baranowski. If he is healthy, this can be a big swell of impact and confidence for this Minnesota defense. Prior to him missing the last two games, Maverick was the leader in tackles on this team. On top of that, he's like a top 5 graded player via PFF for this Gophers defense. He typically is a sure tackler, though he's had some ups and downs in the Michigan game. But he plays with fire, and he has that spark that fires up this defense. So overall, he has major impact. And he has been the leading or second leading tackler in every game he has played, except for the Rhode Island matchup where a lot of people got snaps because it was such a blowout. That influx of sure tackling could be extremely beneficial for the Gophers in trying to slow down the run game, both this week and moving forward. But you want to slowly ramp him back up to the mix, and this would be a perfect opportunity for the Gophers to do that. But it's not just about Maryland. It's not just about this game that is of importance. This whole back half of the season is going to be key, and the Gophers need to prioritize in a different way. We're going to talk about how they need to prioritize, what the rest of the schedule looks like, and beyond. We're going to dive into all of that coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs, because when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for your role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find those professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs isn't just a job board, and that's the best part about it. LinkedIn helps you find professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On top of that, they know that small businesses are wearing all sorts of different hats. So they're coming up with new features in order to help you hire faster for free and hire like a professional. It's why 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. They even have a job writing description, or a feature that helps you write job descriptions, make the process easier and quicker. So post about your job for free over at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post about your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. So, like I said, we're going to talk about the Gophers' back half of the schedule. There's 5 games remaining. Now, goal number 1 for the Gophers on this back half should be to secure bowl eligibility, plain and simple, especially after not officially getting it last year and having to rely on more of a stipulation with the academic progress rates, which good for Minnesota for having good academics, but let's actually earn it with the standard requirement of getting 6 wins. Now, goal number 2 for the Gophers should be impressive wins, beating ranked opponents, beating rivals, things to really spark up the fan base and drive belief, not only for this year, but moving forward. And then goal number 3 should be getting back to 8+ wins and win a quality bowl game. Now, in order to achieve these things, these goals, what lies in front of the Gophers? You're talking about 2 games that should be very winnable, a game against Maryland at home and a game on the road versus Rutgers in 2 weeks following. Now, aside from those 2 should be wins, the rest of Minnesota's 3 games fall into that other category of impressive wins or beating rivals, because Illinois and Penn State are both ranked. Illinois is currently 20th and Penn State is 3rd. We will see if Illinois can keep that ranking after this Oregon matchup that they have this week. But regardless, both of those teams could be ranked by the time Minnesota plays them. And then you've got the rivalry in Wisconsin and trying to get the Axe back to Minneapolis. Now, like I said, hopefully Illinois stays ranked, so that way you can really add to your resume if you can turn that into a win. But winning any 4 of the last 5 would be major for Minnesota, getting back to 8 wins, plus having another shot at a 9+ win season with a bowl game win. That would be the 4th time that it has been done with PJ Fleck in his 8 years with the Gophers. Now, both Illinois and Wisconsin so far have shown vulnerabilities, but in order to win, Minnesota has to slow down the run game and play a full 4 quarters. Now, that said, Illinois game is actually possibly more favorable in Minnesota's favor, in my opinion, because of the given play style. Minnesota has been pretty good at stopping the pass game, and Illinois has been more pass heavy with Luke Altmaier playing a very good season. But Wisconsin is a game that Minnesota has to clean up their run defense and miss tackles if they want to get the Axe back to Dinkytown. So they're definitely going to have to make some improvements before that final week of regular season play. Now, all in all, I think Minnesota is probably going to end up being a 6-6 or 7-5 team, winning versus Maryland, Rutgers, and then one of Illinois or Wisconsin. Now, if you win both of those and you make yourself an 8-win team, good on you. That will be great for morale. That will be great for the program. But I'm taking it 1 week at a time, and Maryland is that first thing standing in our way. Now, anything over 6-6, 7-5 is great, and anything under that is disappointing, very disappointing. So first things first, Minnesota has to win the homecoming game versus Maryland this upcoming weekend. Hopefully you're able to attend or watch from home and cheer on your Golden Gophers. But we're going to turn the page. This show's been a little bit shorter, a little bit quicker due to, being under the weather, being just hurting right now with my voice, but we got to get the Gophers fans what they need. So lastly, we're going to talk about Gophers hoops and exhibition takeaways coming up next. First, I want to talk to you about our friends over at FanDuel, because right now the NFL is going on, college football is going on, college basketball will be here before you know it, and the NBA just kicked off. So you can get a big return over on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you can also place bets. And you can get started today with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So definitely give it a try over at FanDuel.com. Now, looking at the Gophers and the Maryland game, right now the Gophers are favored by 4.5. The last time I looked, that is one that I definitely like for the Gophers. It should be a relatively close game, but I think they can win by a touchdown. So I would be taking that, putting my $5 bet down, getting the $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, regardless of the win or the loss. But overall, you can do all of that and more over at FanDuel.com. Check it out. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook of Locked On. All right, Gophers fans, we are moving on to Gophers men's basketball. Once again, thank you for bearing with me through this struggle with my voice, but I appreciate y'all for tapping in. So let's talk about Gophers men's hoops and the exhibition takeaways. Now, Minnesota was definitely solving through some things in the early stages of this game, but they pulled away, ultimately winning 90-65, pulled away strong in the late portions of the game. Now, once again, this is just an exhibition game. It is not about the result, though you'd love to see an easy win, a big blowout win versus a lower level school, which we ultimately ended up seeing. But more importantly, this game is for feeling out rotations, for floor pairings, for getting the new guys into some live moments with this offense. Playing in your home gym, getting eyes of the fans and the game environment on you. But unfortunately, the Gophers, 3 of the newest Gophers, could not play in this game. Tyler Cochran, who will be out until sometime likely in December, is unable to play because of surgery. And then Lukai Patterson and Femi Odekale, both who could be starters for this team moving into the season, were not able to play in this one. If they're not starters, I would see them as key rotation guys, which definitely hurts that they couldn't play in this exhibition to get a feel for it, because once the games are going, it's harder to have those simple mistakes or those little mistakes or what have you. Now, they still have time to practice. They still have time to scrimmage and work things out. But you always value an exhibition game and being able to do some cleanup work before you get to the real season. Now, that being said, what did we see? We saw guard play, which was a big question with Elijah Hawkins moving into the transfer portal, Cam Christie leaving. How are we going to fill those spots in the rotation? Now, it was exactly what I had mentioned in this offseason. I said, do not count out Mike Mitchell Jr. Do not count him out as a facilitator. Do not count him out as a point guard. And he showed you that firsthand in this game. He was by far the second best player on Minnesota's team, in my opinion. He led the team in scoring with 19. He had 8 assists, 2 turnovers with a 4-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, which is wonderful. He was the higher-ranked point guard in the transfer portal last year compared to Elijah Hawkins, but he wasn't asked to play that facilitator role. That doesn't mean that he lost the ability to do that. He was averaging about 4.5 to almost 5 assists for Pepperdine. So to see him come out, take control of that, play aggressively on the offensive end, facilitate and all of that and more, love to see it. His contributions on the defensive end are also extremely impactful with his ability to draw steals. I would lock him in as a starter alongside Dawson Garcia. I would be shocked if Ben Johnson didn't start Mike Mitchell Jr. Now, another nice name in that guard play was Isaac Asuma, the highly touted freshman. He was the only other player to touch the court for the Maroon and Gold that played a true point guard facilitator type role. Now, he's definitely still getting warmed up to the college ball level, and the speed will only get faster as we get to actual high major play. But overall, he showed pretty well in this game. He had 8 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal, and only 1 turnover in 30 minutes of play. So definitely not a bad way to start. Definitely contributing in all facets, and that's a player who will play heavy minutes as a true freshman, just like we saw Cam Christie do. I am very excited by Isaac Asuma. Not sure he'll start this year, and you don't have to rush him into starting, barring any injuries or anything like that. But I think he will be a great contributor for this Gophers team. Now, another guard that was maybe not quite anticipated by me to be a huge contributor, but he looked the part, was Rigsby. Now, Rigsby was the only other guard to see a healthy amount of minutes, and he looked good in them. 3 for 6 from deep, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, no turnovers. Second on the team in points with 17. If he isn't already in the starting lineup next to Mike Mitchell Jr., he may have just made a strong case for himself to be in there. Overall, I thought he was solid and he holds his own on defense. He has athleticism. He had a nasty jam in there. He can hit from deep. So overall, I loved what I saw from Rigsby. Obviously, Dawson Garcia is a lock to be a featured player on this team. Parker Fox showed that he's going to have a major role, probably the sixth man, but he's an energizer that this team needs desperately. And then Frank Mitchell did what he does, leading the team in rebounds. Those 6 players I've mentioned, Garcia, Parker Fox, Mike Mitchell Jr., Rigsby, Asuma, and Frank Mitchell, those 6 will be in the rotation. I would be willing to bet money. And so Ben Johnson typically plays a rotation of 8 players, maybe 9, but usually more towards the 8 players. So if those 6 are in the rotation, who rounds out the final 2 spots in the rotation? For me, I'm probably guessing Femi Odekale and Luke Kai Patterson, who were unable to play in this one. That would be my healthy guess. But with the minutes in this game and the distribution we saw on that, Caden Betts and Trey Edmonds maybe could make a case. Now, the only other players outside of all of them that got any minutes in this game were Caleb Williams and Grayson Grove, but I feel like both of those players are more depth for the season, but I don't see them in the rotation, especially if they're hardly seeing time in an exhibition game. Trey Edmonds, in my opinion, is probably more of a just-in-case big role, and he'll see limited opportunities if everyone is healthy. So overall, we're going to need to see Patterson and Odekale play, but the foundation of this Gophers team is taking form, and I like what I'm seeing for the most part. There were more positives than I was anticipating, and hopefully that continues to actually progress within the season. We'll see what happens and who ultimately ends up working their way into this rotation. But I do think the team has some upside. Now, that being said, the Gophers' schedule does them no favors when it comes to trying to make a tourney bid. So they're going to have to take care of business. They're going to have to win the games they're supposed to and hopefully make some noise in the handful of sporadic games that are not within the conference that are high major opponents. If they can do that and they can get above 500 in the conference, I think they'll make a case for the tournament, but you have to do really well in the conference with the lower end schedule to be able to try and get a tourney bid. Overall, we're going to see. Gophers basketball is just getting started, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all works out. Mike Mitchell Jr. is the truth, though. I'm really excited for him to be a starter on this team and really put some respect on his name. But that's going to do it for us on today's show. Hopefully, I'll be doing a little bit better and can give you a more smoother show on tomorrow's episode. I believe it will be a prediction show with Tristyn, but we'll see what happens. Until then, I'll see you then. Roll the boat, Sky Go Gophers, as always. And please don't forget to hit subscribe.